Hello, everyone. Welcome. I'm Laura Arceniegas from OPSWAT, and I have Ian McGowan here with me from Barrio Networks.
Hi there.
And together, OPSWAT and Barrio Networks are leaders in cybersecurity field, and that is why we've come together to offer you guys this webinar. And we're here to talk about a topic that doesn't get a lot of attention, but is hot in the field, and that is inspecting encrypted files for malicious attacks. In case you have any questions while you're watching this webinar, you may reach out to either one of us, and we'd be more than happy to do the best that we can to reply to your questions. Okay, so in this presentation, we'll be talking about the risks of encryption. We'll do a brief background on OPSWAT and Barrio Networks. We'll also talk about how Barrio Networks has implemented these solutions out in the field. And we'll talk about other use cases that we see this solution helpful in. And finally, we'll talk about the trusted partnership. Okay, there is no doubt that there's an increasing need to safeguard both data entry and data exit points, as well as file transfers. And the reason for this is because file-borne malware continues to thrive. And just looking at last year alone, we can see that 40% of all malware was embedded in malicious files. And out of these files, it just so happens that 45% of the file types that was most widely used were office productivity documents. Now, we can also see by looking at the right that there is no industry that is safe. I mean, these breaches are happening on the public sector as well as healthcare, financial, and small businesses. And finally, we can see that in the future, we can foresee that more and more mid-sized enterprises will start using threat detection providers. So what we mean when we say encrypted files or encrypted traffic, we mean the SSL or the secure socket layer, or TSL or the transport layer security. And both of these are just ways to encrypt traffic or code traffic and decrypt it or decode it at the endpoint. And really, they're just both SSL and TLS are just the most widely used network protocols that allow data to be transferred privately and securely between a web server and a web browser. And it's kind of essential for organizations to start encrypting more and more traffic just to meet compliance regulations and new laws that are out there. However, as you introduce encryption into your network, you might also be, unavoidably, you might be hiding malicious code in this encrypted traffic. And so it is very, very important for you to have full visibility into your encryption, and that's either in the inbound case or outbound case.
Okay, thanks, Laura. So there are several ways to ensure the security and privacy of data, but the most common way that comes to mind is data encryption. Nowadays, almost all websites use encryption when transmitting data between the client and web server. The fast growth and continued adoption of online productivity apps like Office 365, Google G Suite, and just generic cloud-based SaaS applications have helped drive the continued growth of encrypted traffic. End users expect their data to be transmitted in a secure manner, and encryption is great for ensuring and maintaining data privacy and integrity. However, there is a dangerous downside to encryption. Attackers know that because encrypted traffic hides the payload while in transit, it's an excellent way to hide web application attacks from firewalls and web application firewalls, to facilitate malware delivery to unsuspecting users, and it's a great way to exfiltrate sensitive data from an organization without them having visibility of those traffic flows. At a minimum, protecting against hidden threats in encrypted traffic requires that organizations have visibility into both incoming and outgoing encrypted traffic. Visibility into and inspection of encrypted incoming traffic reduces blind spots for your security posture, as it mitigates the risk of malware concealed within that encrypted traffic. Visibility into encrypted traffic is also important because that traffic can mask exfiltration of stolen data. For networks or cloud environments that are breached and have malware installed within them, encryption can mask the outbound communications to command and control servers, which are used to orchestrate threat actor reconnaissance and deeper exploitation into the organization as part of a multi-threaded or multi-staged attack. Attackers can download malware modules and move laterally within the organization, or even extend beyond the original organization to attack the customers or supply chain, infecting more devices and servers and stealing more information and data. The cybersecurity challenge that we face is ensuring that our network communications remain secure in transit so that data privacy is protected, but also protecting our organizations from being attacked by threat actors who leverage those encrypted channels for malicious purposes. The infrastructure that we use to implement security controls is not typically built for encrypting and decrypting at scale, and it can result in up to 80% performance loss in next generation firewalls. As new encryption protocols are released, such as TLS version 1.3, it can break the decryption policies on infrastructure which is not built to cater for it. Deploying and operating decryption and encryption policies is complex and time-consuming, so we need to evolve our approach to dealing with network-based traffic inspection in a way that caters for encrypted data better. Advances in cryptography, such as perfect forward secrecy, force security devices in line to perform inspection, where they must proxy the connections to enable visibility of the session encryption keys being used. Unfortunately, many security devices are unable to perform decryption at scale. And when we consider the data path of a packet when traversing these inline devices, we can see that constant decryption, inspection, and subsequent re-encryption at each device is a surefire way to introduce latency and a poor user experience. Security teams will utilize next generation appliances, which can consolidate security policies, but multiple devices are usually still required, and that creates a daisy chain within your security stack, consisting of multiple security point products. This approach introduces complexity into the design and implementation of your IT security infrastructure, and it creates inefficiency through the repeated decryption and encryption process, and it also creates multiple points of failure and management overhead for cryptographic processing. Effective security posture requires comprehensive risk management policies and procedures, and failure to implement effective risk management can cause delays in the detection of a cybersecurity incident, such as a customer data breach, increasing the impact of a risk which is materialized and ultimately leading to increased monetary consequences and reputational damage to your brand. Legislation such as the GDPR strengthens data protection policies and holds organizations accountable for non-compliance.
So as Ian mentioned, there is a very complex problem when it comes to encrypted files, potentially holding malicious attacks. And with more and more information being encrypted, security operators are having a difficult time detecting and assessing threats within those encrypted traffic flows, because they're not necessarily inspecting encrypted traffic flow, as their security infrastructure cannot cope with the performance impact. And so that leaves security ops with the ultimate choice. Do they let the encrypted traffic go uninspected, or do they suffer extreme application performance losses? So to be able to effectively use all your security tools while decrypting traffic, you need a solution that ultimately can do both, and that is the F5 and OPSWAT solution. So together, you're able to effectively use all your security products while having full visibility into your encrypted traffic. Okay, I will go over a little bit about OPSWAT and who we are and what kind of products we have. So one of our main platforms is MetaDefender, and MetaDefender has many different technologies that can be represented or seen by this shield. So for example, we have a deep CDR technology, and CDR stands for Content Disarm and Reconstruction, or it's another way of saying data sanitization. The solution that we'll be talking about today is the MetaDefender ICAP server. And the MetaDefender ICAP server is used for detecting threats in web traffic as traffic is flowing from the internet onto your network. Okay, and next we have Ian talking about Barrio Networks.
Okay, thanks, Laura. So Barrio Networks is a UK-based cybersecurity managed service provider and value-added reseller. We provide managed cybersecurity services that augment our customers' IT operations so that they can benefit from high-quality cybersecurity services in a model that is commercially efficient for the business. We work closely with our customers and we aim to establish Barrier as their trusted partner for cybersecurity. We've been doing this since 2006 and over the years have built a strong managed service offering and vendor portfolio, of which OPSWAT and F5 Networks feature prominently in.
And I do want to mention that Barrio Networks is one of our strongest partners when it comes to UK and EU involvement.
Thanks, Laura.
So we talked a little bit about the F5 and OPSWAT solution that Barrio Networks is able to implement, and we're just going to dive in a little bit further in detail to this partnership solution and how this solution really mitigates the risks of encrypted traffic. So here we have the SSL Orchestrator, and the reason why we're discussing the SSL Orchestrator in a little bit more detail is because you can use any of the SSL Orchestrator security tools, and you can also add on or complement those security tools with the MetaDefender technologies. So the SSL Orchestrator is able to reach out to MetaDefender and use the multi-scanning tool. It's able to sanitize files using the deep CDR tool, and it's able to prevent data loss using the proactive DLP tool. So we'll talk a little bit more about how this integration comes together in the next few slides.
Okay, so the cybersecurity vendor landscape provides us with opportunities to join different products together within a design so that they can complement each other, and then we can maximize what we get out of our security technology investment. F5 Networks are a market leader for application delivery and application security. F5 built the Traffic Management Operating System, or TMOS, on which all Big IP products run on for flexible and high-performance SSL and TLS decryption and encryption. F5 Networks provides us with purpose-built technology that delivers the highest performance for cryptographic processing. It scales to our needs and it's secure.
F5 is certainly a brand that OPSWAT is very familiar with and we enjoy working with as well.
So the F5 SSL Orchestrator provides decryption and encryption of inbound and outbound SSL traffic, and that enables traffic inspection for other security products. It supports policy-based management and steering of traffic flows to third-party security solutions, such as OPSWAT MetaDefender, so that organizations can apply context-based rules to the handling of encrypted traffic flows. F5's flexible SSL solution lowers security costs with intelligent load balancing and monitoring, and that provides you with better availability and utilization. And this enhances your organization's privacy and security with improved efficiencies, combined with features that lower the total cost of ownership, eliminating the security blind spots that Laura spoke about earlier and the performance challenges associated with today's encrypted world. So, policy-based traffic steering and the contextual classification engine within SSL Orchestrator provides granular control for managing decryption and encryption. It supports dynamic bypass for sensitive domains such as user banking sessions and healthcare, where you don't want that data being decrypted because of the sensitivity of it. And dynamic service chaining removes the limitations of static daisy chaining, and it provides easy insertion, monitoring, scaling, and load balancing of security devices. The contextual classification engine and the rich set of traffic selectors provided enable data packet attributes to be included within policy decisions. This means that we can choose which traffic we want to be selected for decryption based on attributes such as the source IP of the packet or the destination port, or even if the traffic is coming to or from an IP, which is flagged by F5's IPI Threat Intelligence Service. And then we can take that decrypted traffic that's been selected and forward it to MetaDefender for inspection. This helps improve efficiency and performance by steering traffic to service chains based on policy and not simply because it's the next security hop in line within your infrastructure.
As Ian mentioned, OPSWAT is a leader in security of malware and malware prevention. And what sets us apart from other companies that are doing file inspection is that we have a multi-scanning tool. And the reason why we came up with a multi-scanning tool is because we saw that there are so many challenges when it comes to malware detection. And single AV vendors or single malware detection companies, they often have gaps in coverage. And that is why we've created this multiple AV scanning tool. And what I mean when I say multiple AV scanning is that OPSWAT has actually gone out and licensed all of these different AV vendors and have bundled them together in a nice package where you don't have to worry about the licensing or the individual costs. All you have to worry about is which AV package is right for you. And this chart further illustrates the benefits. So here we can see that for the top 10,000 malware samples that were uploaded onto our MetaDefender cloud, these are our package's engine detection rates. So for example, if we look at AV8, AV8 means that there are 8 individual AV providers bundled together into this package, and that has a detection rate of approximately 83%. So that means that 83% of the 10,000 malware samples were able to be correctly identified. Now, as we move down the bar, we can see that our AV20, so that means that there are 20 AVs bundled into this AV. Well, that of course would have a much higher detection rate. That detection rate is as high as 99%. And this just further illustrates that when you have multiple AVs bundled together, you get the benefits of the strengths and the diversity of each one of these AV providers, and you can utilize all of them together. So another tool that was mentioned was the Deep CDR tool, or Deep Content Disarm and Reconstruction. And this tool assumes that all files are malicious. So it doesn't really rely on the detection. It just treats all files as malicious and cleanses them. How this works is that this will first identify the file, so it will identify the correct file format, and then it will break the file into different components, and it will select the components that you want to use, and it will restructure these usable components into a new file. And the chart on the right just shows some of the different file types that we work with. And when you are reconstructing this file, you also have the option to reconstruct the file into a different file format. So for example, if you don't want to use doc files, you can reconstruct the file into a PDF. Okay, so another optional add-on, just like CDR, is our proactive data loss prevention tool. And this tool has the ability to either watermark. So the image on the right, you can see that there's a serial number that has been placed on the blueprint of that image. So you can watermark images like that. You can also redact any data. So you can redact social security numbers, IP addresses, custom information, all sorts of things. And lastly, you can also redact metadata. So sometimes there's information hidden inside of files that you don't want that being sent out to, such as the author of a file or when the file was made. So we have the ability to remove information such as that as well. And one of the main uses for our proactive DLP is to comply with industry regulations such as PCI or HIPAA or GDPR. Okay, and the last bit that I'm going to talk about is our threat intelligence. And there's a few reasons why I like to bring up threat intelligence. The first is that OPSWAT has one of the largest cyber communities. You are able to leverage all of this threat intelligence information by affiliating yourself with OPSWAT. So you have the ability to not only use the bundle that you've purchased, but you can use, if you decide to further inspect suspicious files, you can leverage any of the other AVs through our threat intelligence module. And the second reason why I like to talk about threat intelligence, or this slide in particular, is that this is another way that we can justify the importance of the multi-scanning. So here on the left, we can see the latest 8 outbreaks by hash value. And on the right, we can see in the graph that there's, over the progression of time, more and more AV engines are able to identify a file as malicious. So the red indicates the number of AV engines that have identified the hash as malicious, and the green indicates AV vendors who continue to just pass the file on as if it were not malicious. Another important thing to note is that it's not always the same AV that comes in first place. I mean, like I mentioned previously, each AV has its own strengths and diversity features. And so a outbreak that happened in South Africa might not be caught by the Russian AV. Move on to the use cases for this solution.
Okay, so as I mentioned, F5 SSL Orchestrator helps you gain visibility of traffic flows that you previously didn't have sight of. You can then benefit from the OPSWAT MetaDefender multi-scanning technology and its other features to provide security assurance over files coming in and out of your network. For example, if we have a secure file upload service for customers to submit files to, we can use the SSL Orchestrator to decrypt those specific encrypted traffic flows to the file upload server, and then have the traffic that's decrypted sent to MetaDefender for inspection by the multi-scanning engine.
And I do want to mention that integrating the SSL Orchestrator and the MetaDefender products is very straightforward because the integration is done via ICAP. So this solution takes just minutes to set up, and there's templates from F5 and OPSWAT that you can use to make this integration easier for you. I do want to talk about a little bit of the types of industries that we see that are utilizing this solution out in the field right now. So for example, we have the defense, government, energy industry, who often have many different contractors collaborating on different documents and find a need for this solution. We also have, so nowadays, every healthcare has portals where you can upload and download medical records. So there's another use case for this. The finance industry has, of course, tons of sensitive information that they want protected. And finally, we have HR firms with exchanging different types of file formats. And if we have a secure upload service for customers to send these files to, we can use the policy-based steering within the SSL Orchestrator to decrypt traffic, specifically to these servers, and then to send the decrypted payload to be inspected by OPSWAT's MetaDefender ICAP server. Okay, and finally, Ian will go over the trusted partnership.
Okay, thanks, Laura. So I think because of the increase in kind of zero-day attacks or malware attacks that, there's no signature for, or perhaps, antivirus engines just aren't great at detecting them, we've really seen the adoption of OPSWAT MetaDefender increase significantly in recent years. And the use cases for OPSWAT stretch further than what we have time for in this webinar. The flexibility provided by the REST API and the ICAP server that Laura mentioned earlier means that you can integrate other infrastructure components with MetaDefender easily. You can use the ICAP server to enable the scanning of web traffic that enters or leaves your networks to detect advanced threats. And the REST API can also be used to provide access to the MetaDefender multi-scanning engine, as well as the deep CDR and proactive DLP services that Laura spoke about. We know that the threat of malware embedded within email is high, and that threat actors continue to target organizations like this because of the success they have. By leveraging the MetaDefender API to integrate with your mail gateway, you no longer have to rely on the single anti-malware engine that's used within your secure email gateway. And instead, you can benefit from the services mentioned already, which are provided by MetaDefender. We've also seen a big increase in the number of organizations using the kiosk and vault features to enable them to securely import and export files from their networks while relying on the multi-scanning, deep CDR, and proactive DLP. Whether it's by USB copy or file uploads, Kiosk and Vault help employees bring files in and out of the network securely and easily, which helps increase productivity while achieving an enhanced level of security. As organizations enable employees to use removable media in a way that ensures files can only be copied from USBs onto machines once they have passed the MetaDefender checks. And users love it because it helps them stay productive while the security protection provided by MetaDefender remains transparent to them.
Yeah, I think, as Dean mentioned, I think it's great that you can utilize all of these solutions in various different use cases and have all of the solutions also communicate with each other to provide reports and information about all different aspects of your network.
F5 Networks and OPSWAT provide Barrio Networks with the technology that we need to help our customers address their cybersecurity challenges. By leveraging the benefits that both vendors provide, we can build a solution for our customers that is greater than the sum of its parts, effectively. OPSWAT and F5 Networks have a long-standing technology partnership and have developed the OPSWAT platform to integrate natively with F5. And that means we can benefit from things like deployment wizards or the templates that Laura mentioned earlier. The support is excellent because they know each other's products, and there's plenty of resources to tap into.
Okay, so now that you have a full understanding of how Barrio Networks is able to implement F5 and OPSWAT solution, you can maybe check out one of these websites to get you started on this integration.
Okay, so thanks for watching. I hope you found that interesting and that it helped illustrate the value of deploying OPSWAT alongside F5 Networks SSL Orchestrator. If you do have any questions or would like any more information, please don't hesitate to reach out to Laura or myself using our emails that are on the screen.
Thank you, Ian, and thank you for watching.